Lao said, the sage kings of ancient times derived images from heaven above, derived measurements from earth below, and derived laws from humanity in between, harmonizing yin and yang energies to attune to the structure of the four seasons. They observed the lay of the land, its moisture, fertility, and elevation in order to set up enterprises that would produce goods and get rid of the problems of hunger and cold and avoid the calamities of illness and disease. With a balanced acceptance of social behavior, they formulated rituals and music and practiced the ways of humaneness and justice to bring order to social norms. Arraying the various natures, they established the primary relationship of parent and child to produce families, listening to the clarity and cloudiness of sounds and the mathematics of musical scales. They set up the duties of rulers and ministers to produce nations, observing the order of the year, early, middle, and late stages of the four seasons. They defined the divisions of age and youth to produce offices. Dividing the earth into territories, they defined states to govern it. Setting up major centers of learning, they taught all this. These are the outlines of government. When they attain the way, they are promoted, and when they lose the way, they are abandoned. There has never been anything that tensed and never relaxed, or that thrived and never spoiled. Only sages can thrive without spoiling. When sages first made music, it was to restore the spirit, stop licentiousness, and bring back the celestial mind. When it became decadent, music followed trends without reflection, licentious and passionate without regard for the right way. These trends affected later generations, even to the point of destroying countries. When writing was invented, it was employed to manage affairs. Fools could use it so as not to forget things, and the wise could use it to record events. When it became degenerate, it made treacherous falsehoods that could free the guilty and kill the innocent. When parks were invented, they were for mausoleums and shrines. Some knights and footmen were chosen as wardens and guides. When they became degenerate, they took up the people's time with chases and hunting, exhausting the people's energy. When the rulers are wise, they guide and judge fairly. Wise and good people are in office. Skilled and capable people are at work. Wealth is distributed downward, and all the people are aware of their blessings. When they degenerate, cliques and factions each promote their cronies, discarding public interest for private. With outsiders and insiders overthrowing each other, the positions of power are occupied by the wily and treacherous, while the good and wise remain hidden. It is the way of the universe to turn back when it has come to an extreme. Increase leads to decrease. Therefore, sages change structures to remedy deterioration. When something is done with, then they do more. They are good when they are harmonious, faulty when authoritarian. According to the way of sages, it is impossible to stand without cultivating courtesy, justice, and conscience. If the people have no conscience, they cannot be governed. If they do not know courtesy and justice, laws cannot correct them. It is possible to execute the unfilial, but not to make people filial. It is possible to punish thieves, but it is not possible to make people be honest. When sage kings are in the lead, they show people what is good and bad and guide them with censure and praise. They favor those who are good and promote them while demeaning and demoting those who are no good. Thus punishments are set aside and not used, courtesy and justice are practiced, and responsibilities are entrusted to the wise and virtuous. Those whose knowledge surpasses 10,000 others are called outstanding. Those who surpass 1,000 others are called distinguished. Those who surpass 100 others are called excellent. Those who surpass 10 others are called remarkable. Those who understand the way of heaven and earth, comprehend the patterns of human feelings, are magnanimous enough to accept the masses, benevolent enough to be concerned for those afar, and intelligent enough to know the use of strategy are outstanding people. Those whose virtue is sufficient to educate and guide, whose conduct is sufficient to depend on for justice, whose trustworthiness is sufficient to win the masses, and whose enlightenment is sufficient to be aware of those below, are distinguished people. Those whose behavior can be taken as a model, whose knowledge is adequate to settle doubts, who are trustworthy enough to keep promises, who are honest enough to share material goods, whose ways of doing things can be taken as examples, and whose words can be taken as guides, are excellent people. Those who keep their jobs and do not quit, who do not compromise in matters of justice, who do not try to escape when they see difficulty, and do not try to grab an advantage when they see it, are exceptional people. When outstanding, distinguished, excellent, and exceptional people each manage their positions according to their greater and lesser abilities, flowing from the root to the branches, regulating the light by the heavy, then those above initiate action, those below harmonize, and all within the four seas are of one mind, with the same goal, turning away from greed and baseness, turning toward humaneness and justice. The influence this has on the people is like wind making grasses bend down. Now, if you have the unworthy rule over the good, then even strict penalties cannot prevent their treachery. The small cannot regulate the great, the weak cannot employ the strong. This is the nature of the universe. So sages promote the wise to get things done, while unworthy rulers promote their own associates. Observe whom they promote, and it will be clear whether there is going to be order or disorder. Examine their associations, and you can tell who is wise and who is unworthy.